We are all inundated with millions and millions of images that are thrown at us every single day.
People will be watching the results.
It always is pleasantly surprising to see when a time cover can break through that cluttered media landscape. A time cover needs to be clear, graphic, sometimes provocative.
Pretty hard to miss the cover of Time magazine.
But it always tries to cast a subject of importance within that red frame. I try to think of it as a journalistic poster for our times. The first Time cover was March 3rd of 1923. Henry Luce and Britton Hayden, the two founders of Time, were feverishly running around trying to figure out how to put the issue out. At the last minute, they're like, well, we need to have a cover. They reached out to an advertising friend of theirs. He created these hand-drawn little scrolls up the side. They were trying to figure out who's our cover subject. It was Speaker of the House, Joseph Cannon.
Named Uncle Joe Cannon becomes
the story about Cannon was only about 300 words. Didn't even fill up an entire column of that first issue. What I've always loved about those early covers of Time is it's all hand-drawn. And then one of the Times advertising chiefs thought, well, you need a little bit more. You either need pretty girls, babies, or red and yellow for the cover. Philip Covey, who was in Britton Hayden's office, took out a red crayon and on a 1926 cover of Time, just put a really strong red border. Here's what you need to do. And from 1927 till today, that red border has been one of the more iconic frames around the magazine since. In the 1930s, an editor named Dana Tasker came on board. Really felt like that was an opportunity for Time to take more risks. One of the first big risks was a pinup artist drawing of Rita Hayworth. Readers' reactions were very mixed. Some threatened to cancel their subscriptions, and others were like, wow. Tasker also found what became known as the ABCs. Boris Orchibashev, Ernest Hamlin Baker, and Boris Shalepin. These three artists did 900 covers of Time. They brought in backgrounds that matched the cover subjects. They established a look for more than 4 decades where they really gave personality to their subjects. One of the more iconic graphic treatments is the red X. It first started when news came that Adolf
Hitler is dead.
The editors had an illustration of Hitler ready to go. They sent that to the printing plant and informed the pressman to put a red X across his face. From there, the red X has been used a handful of times, more recently with Osama bin Laden.
Time magazine used it in a recent issue to describe what is happening.
I must have been flattered with the Time magazine cover.
What I've always loved about Time is that it has the authority to cover any number of subjects, from health to sports, to world leaders, to presidents, to the climate, to business, and everything in between. That same variety holds true with how we approach the cover visually. Black and white photography, pencil drawings, watercolors, typography, paper mache, silkscreen printing, sand, and even flying drones, 958 to be exact. I've spent almost half my life coloring inside Time's 8 by 10.5 inch frame, and I find it funny that as you grow older, we're taught that in order to be creative, you have to think outside the box. But as more than 5,200 Time covers have shown over the last 100 years, creativity can flourish inside the lines, especially when you have some of the world's best photographers and artists to help us fill it. And as Time moves forward, I'm hopeful that focus and creativity remains just as valuable over the next 100 years.